some of them. I saw this a lot at certainly at Harvard, where you had very bright, idealistic young people going to Harvard, wanting to make the world a better place. And then they were pretty much brainwashed, and they came out to be monsters after 4 years or 7 years. In the case of Romney, he was a pirate from the first place. And we all knew it, that anyone who went into the JD MBA program at Harvard Law School and Harvard Business School, which Romney did in 1971, and you first started Harvard Law School. But everyone who went into that, we all knew at the time, was just going to be an outright pirate. That's the only reason you go into that program. And then after graduating, he went to work for Boston Consulting Group. And again, everyone, if you knew anything about Boston Consulting Group, you knew full well everyone who went there was going there to become a pirate. And then Bain, who had been a partner at Boston Consulting Group, set up his own firm, and he recruited Romney out of Boston Consulting Group to become a super pirate. So that's really, what Romney's all about, and you're reading about his tax returns and things.
Oh yeah, and doesn't pay taxes.
And I think, despite what the mainstream news media is telling you, I think there's a lot of unreported income there that Romney just hasn't come clean on. I mean, you have to ask yourself, why did he have a secret bank account in Switzerland with UBS? And then what happens is the United States government and the IRS, the Department of Treasury, go after UBS, and then they start pressuring the Swiss government to have UBS come clean on its U.S. depositors, and then all of a sudden Romney shuts down his UBS account. So, I think, we really need people to start looking into these secret bank accounts that he maintained in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Bermuda. If you read the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, they only have people in there basically presenting Romney's point of view on these issues. But, I have no inside information, and I don't have time to sit and read through...
but by super pirate, it's Skull and Bones, that's what they call themselves.
That's at Yale. That is, if you go to Yale, unlike Harvard has its secret clubs, too. Yale, Skull and Bones. And, you saw that movie with Robert De Niro and Matt Damon that the CIA recruited.
Yeah, the Good Shepherd.
Skull and Bones, right. And they recruited Bush Jr. Well, Bush Jr.'s father was CIA, and we know that after his graduation from Yale, his father had him work for a CIA front organization, so he was CIA, and he's still CIA. Kerry, Skull and Bones, special forces in Vietnam. So, you have two Skull and Bones guys running for the presidency.
It's amazing. Let me ask you this question. What, from your study, what's obviously their end game is take over the planet, shut down domestic dissent, do all of this, convert the military over to drones that'll follow orders, all of this. But, there's got to be an end to it. And I think it's just going to be the country collapsing and the dollar collapsing, because it doesn't look like all this military force they're piling up against us and others is going to make it for them. I don't see them finishing this marathon.
Well, I think from their perspective, it would be to start a war with Iran that could then end up with, a major type world war. And then they would have all the justification they need to impose a police state here in America outright.
Yeah, that's it.
Sort of like what happened in World War II. And we would all then become cogs on the machine. I think that is their ultimate plan.
Yeah, it's 1984. It's 1984.
Yes, it's exactly like 1984, and I would encourage everyone to go out and reread 1984. That is where we are today, sure.
And, of course, they finally figures out in the book, he's like, I think one government is running both sides, and it's missiling itself because it's just an excuse to always degrade society, trampling and being trampled upon. It is just, in closing, you say you knew Romney real well.
I didn't say I knew him really well, but we did take all of our father.
Okay, so you know him.
In class every day for an entire year.
Sure, so you know him. I mean, here's the deal. Just gauging a person. Newt Gingrich just radiates crazy, out of control, really wicked person, and then his actions show that. Romney, kind of like with Obama, it's just mainly hyper-competitive, no morals. But, I mean, would you say that he's consciously like a psychopath, or is he just a super competitive pirate?
He is certainly a pirate. There's no question about it. And that's why he went into that JD MBA program, Harvard Law School, Harvard Business School. And I believe, even at the time, we knew his father had just run for the presidency and lost, and it was clear he intended, at least to me, my assessment, he intended to go out, become a pirate, make as much money as he possibly could, and then at that point run for the presidency. So, in fact, this is a lifelong plan by Romney, probably going back to 1968 when his father lost the presidency.
Wow, and again, in between Obama and Romney, it just shows the corporate system has finally gotten it where it really is nothing but reshuffling deck chairs on the Titanic, and that this is all a facade, and then Ron Paul enters the fray and is the only real candidate who isn't bought and paid for, and it's messing up their whole Alice in Wonderland false reality. I mean, briefly, your take on Ron Paul and his view on
I think you're correct about that. You know, as a lawyer and a law professor for many years now, Ron Paul is the only candidate who expressed concern about the Constitution and the rule of law. And as you know full well, that was long before he decided to run for presidency. After 9/11 is when I began to pay attention to Ron Paul, when he began to object to the police state tactics by Bush and the wars abroad. So he has consistently taken this position after 9/11, to my knowledge, when I began to follow him, and he still is today. Romney will be no better, perhaps worse than Obama. I guess the difference is, you know, Obama is a CIA asset. Romney is not, but he's still a pirate. Basically, Romney's an agent for the Mormon Pope. Romney was and perhaps still is a Mormon bishop. He had been a Mormon archbishop, and given the hierarchical structure of that church, I believe he has always taken his orders from the Mormon prophet. So that's what we're facing now. And as we know, a lot of the Mormons now are in the CIA, FBI, military, and things of.
So basically, our government has just turned into a bunch of special interest grabbing at levers of power, and that's the only fight is special interest scrabbling around fighting over the levers.
I believe you're right. And, you know, when the campaign comes up, from my perspective, the most important thing is to get our Constitution back, if this can be done.
Sure, we want America back.
We have to do that.
We want America back.
If we're going to make any changes at all, we have to get the Constitution back and dismantle this police state, going back at least to the USA Patriot Act and even
hold on, we got to go to break. Got to go to break.
Do you know which 37 crucial food items are going to...
All right, final segment, and Dr. Professor Francis Boyle is our guest. Look, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're not in America anymore. If we're going to get the republic back, we've got to be honest about how much trouble we're in. This is so real, folks. And they've geared up so long for all-out war with the people. They do plan to wrest all of it once they go into the next phase of this. They do plan on a civil war. They do plan. They want that fight with the people. They want the re-education. They want it all. I mean, these people are all about the exercise of power. And I have to have debates with my wife about not leaving this country. You know, Professor, you're talking about restore the republic. legalize freedom again, recognize what's happened. We were talking during the break. I mean, just in closing, people can learn more in your latest book, Tackling America's Toughest Question, available at Amazon.com and bookstores. But, I mean, just say what you were saying to me off air. I mean, you were talking about 9/11. They did it. They did the anthrax. This shows you who we're dealing with. I mean, these are some hardcore murderers.
Oh, it's true. We've discussed the anthrax before, and I do have a book on that, biowarfare and terrorism. It's obvious. It's very clear. The anthrax, this was super weapons-grade anthrax prepared by the CIA, Department of Defense, probably Battelle, and it was unleashed to ram the USA Patriot Act, set up a police state. They shut down Congress. They shut down the Supreme Court, and they killed our own people. So any group of people that would do that, and basically it was politicized. They shut down constitutional government. When they shut down Congress, they shut down the Supreme Court. So any elite that would do something like that against its own people will stop at nothing. And they undoubtedly still have a stockpile of that super weapons-grade anthrax still out there, either at Dugway or Battelle, Fort Detrick, who knows.
And you're a bioweapons expert and helped write global treaties on it, but as you know, they're also producing a bunch of airborne nasty flus, poxes, and Ebola now. I mean, heaven help us. We are in the hands of total psychopaths.
I believe that's correct. If you look at the funding for biowarfare after 9/11, now it's somewhere in the area of about $70 billion, which in constant money is more than the Manhattan Project. We are geared up to fight biological warfare. There's no question about it. And we now have close to, I'd say, 400 labs researching extremely dangerous biowarfare agents, maybe 15,000 people, death scientists, I call them. The National Institutes of Health has been thoroughly corrupted. It's now the National Institutes for Death. Center for Disease Control has now become the Center for Disease Proliferation.
And I know they're killing a lot of scientists everywhere that don't play ball, but what's your number?
Last number I read was about 26 were killed, microbiologists. Yeah, it could be higher, but the last figure I saw.
We're going to have you back up, not once a year, but in the next few months if you'll do it, Doc, because, I mean, I want to get into your expertise on bioweapons because that's, I mean, heaven help us. Thank you so much for all the time. The book is Tackling America's Toughest Questions. God bless you, sir.
Well, thanks, and again, this is a time for American citizens to stand up for the Constitution, the rule of law. You all have skills. You all have talents. You all have a conscience. I think we can do this together.
Yeah, this is no joke, though. I mean, we're not facing just boss hog corruption. We're facing scientific nastiness. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon, sir. All right, there he goes. We got to get him back up, guys. And then in a month or so, let's try to get him back on about bioweapons. He really is the expert. He's the big guy that wrote the main treaty on it. By the way, we got a lot of new books and videos, Indoctrination about the public schools, deliberate dumbing down that goes with it. And we got it back in print, plenty of them. Order them today. Bloodlines, the Illuminati.